What is good, YouTube? It is Monday, so that means it's Music Monday or Motivation Monday. Today I'm going to do a little bit of both. I'm going to introduce a few tracks, adding to the Unlockable Character playlist on Spotify, and I'm going to talk about a little bit of what got me ahead in my career, so a little bit of motivation, and then I'm going to mix in some driving footage, so I hope you guys enjoy. Let's start with the tracks for Motivation and Music Monday. We have 3 new tracks on the Spotify playlist. Let me show you them right now. A little bit hard to see, but the first one we have is All Night, really funky vibe. Next track is Only One Me by Levi Carter, and the last track is Familia by Yeet. Hope you guys enjoy those. I'm only putting bangers on the playlist, so these are things that you could put on repeat, drive around, blast, have a great time. All right, guys, let's get to the motivation stuff. All right, guys, what's up? Let's talk about how I got ahead in my career. So when I started, I was a business analyst. And one thing I made sure is that anything that had my name on it, anything that I was delivering to someone else, had the highest quality. So I would think through a lot of things. When someone gives you something to work on, you have to think about through their eyes how they want that piece of work delivered, because each boss you might have or each manager may have a certain different way of doing things, and you need to think 2 steps ahead. You need to think about the formatting of your work. You need to think about who are they going to be delivering your work to, like the actual end audience, and just putting in that effort, putting in that attention to detail, I think really put me in the good graces of my managers and separated me from the pack. The other thing I did is I would get to work really early, like 6:30 to 7 a.m. every day, and I would have a routine. I would make sure I had a healthy breakfast, make sure I worked out before I got to work. I would make sure I had a very clean desk area. And then the morning was really a time for me to read, unwind, prepare my schedule. And I would write down all the tasks that I'd be completing for the day. And I'd make sure that I'd get all of those done. So even though I would show up between 6:30 to 7, I'd also be one of the last people to leave. So I'd leave probably around midnight, 1 a.m. And again, this was my early 20s, so most of my life was centered around work. But what I really wanted to do is outwork everyone around me so I could get into a better financial position, a better career position, so that I wouldn't have to work 100+ hours every week. So after about 2 years of doing that, now everything is a routine, so it doesn't even feel like it's a difficult process to wake up early or it's a difficult process to stay late. One of the things that I did is while I was at State Street, which was the first big company I worked for, they had an online university. And while I was staying late, I would enroll in almost every class possible for finance and IT. So I was learning basic coding. I started with HTML. I went on to CSS for formatting, things like websites. I learned VBA, which is Visual Basic for applications. It's a Microsoft coding language where you can automate things in Excel. You can automate databases with Microsoft Access. And I learned how to link all that data together. So I was taking all these classes, and then I was actually applying it to my work daily. But I was staying late to take them. And I was just putting in effort that I recognized that not everyone was. But I was also doing my best to make sure that the effort was not going completely unnoticed. And what that means is if I learned something, I would make sure during a one-on-one with my manager, if I learned something from an online class, that I would talk about it when I delivered work to her. I would say, hey, taking this class really helped me. And what that also let me do is actually take outside of State Street in-person physical training for classes that sometimes cost up to $10,000, and the company was willing to do it because they saw that I was putting in the work to actually learn from the class, and then I was actually giving back to the company by applying what I learned in my daily work. What I also started to do is, without really being asked, I started to mentor the younger team members, the interns that were coming on, and what I did is I would set up a weekly meeting in person with one of the largest conference rooms, where I would take things that I learned from the classes and then I would reteach them to the interns and the other analysts coming in. So that was a way for me to learn even more, but also help and spread the knowledge that I had gained. So I didn't ask permission to do this. I kind of put this together by myself. And that's a little bit of leadership for you. There's a term called executive presence, And as you get further along in your career, generally between, I would say, 7 to 10 years, this is where you will really see people who have executive presence versus those who do not. And one of the things I'll tell you is, well, keep your wits about you, but definitely it's more impressive to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission when you have really good intent and you're doing great work, because that's what leaders do. They don't really ask for permission. They know how to get the job done. They know how to do quality work, and then they actually help those around them get better, you know. And by giving back to the younger new joiners, by helping them learn the coursework that I had gone through in kind of easier to digest ways, that was evident to my managers, and that really helped me, I think, push forward. It got me great bonuses. It got me great reviews. And as I was doing all of this, I was also taking notes, right? Because generally you're going to have reviews with your manager. Some places just do one yearly review, and it's super hard to remember everything that you accomplished in a year. So I would every week write down things that I completed. And then remember, every day when I would come in the morning, I would write the tasks that I would be accomplishing. And I would think through, how do I want to accomplish those tasks? And that how is the real important part for your yearly reviews or your review schedule whenever you have those with your managers. You really want to talk about how you did things. And that how is what will separate you. So hopefully you guys like that. Let's get some driving footage in and check out the rest of the video, guys. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you. What's up, guys? I am connecting my Ethernet to OBD adapter to iPhone connection so that I can flash XHP on the car. The car already has XHP, but sometimes I like to adjust the settings. I got my iPad here previewing the footage. Hopefully this is a good angle. Let's see. All right, guys, let's continue that. So I have the Ethernet to OBD adapter to iPhone adapter. Connect that up. Gotta keep the seatbelt on. Make sure the car stays on. Put it into diagnostic mode by hitting the start engine stop button 3 times. You'll see diagnostic mode active on the screen. And this is where you can actually boot up XHP. I turn off the climate controls at this point. Kind of just minimize anything that'll drain the battery. All right, so I had 2 cars here. Picked my first one. All right, flash this car, and here you can actually customize what stage you want. So stage 3 would be the most aggressive settings. You can also customize individual kind of categories of settings. So let's go into flash settings, edit. You can have a favorites. I don't use drag race mode, but if you're going to be, you know, chasing quarter-mile times, you should turn that on. Unlimited launch control. You can customize the launch control. It's really pushing your transmission to the max at all times, so it's going to wear the transmission more. I keep takeoff in second gear as standard on, so when it's in automatic, it won't go down to first gear when you stop. It'll keep it in second gear. It's smoother. Activate line pressure bump. I do that. I think overall it makes the shifting experience snappier. Standstill decoupling, that is a fuel economy feature. The car is just a little bit more on its toes when you activate that. Stop and go, I deactivate stop and go so it doesn't, you know, turn the engine off when you're in traffic and then reactivate it when you start going again. Shift map editor. So guys, I'm actually going to offer like an hour of my time to customize XHP settings. So shift maps is one of the things that I would help edit, kind of like a throttle map almost. Torque reduction upshifts is another thing I can help customize for people. Let's go into that and see what it looks like right now. So I want the car to shift a little bit more snappy than what I'm experiencing right now. So right now I'm actually requesting a lot of torque reduction in first gear to make it less kind of rough, but I still want it to be snappier. So I'm going to lower the amount of torque reduction that I'm requesting. I'm going to go down to 15. For second to third, I want to kind of be gradual with this. So I'll go to 13, then 12. Keep it at 12 because, you know, let's see how that is. I'll go down to 10 to 6th, 10. Yeah, I rarely go into 8th gear, but let's keep that at 10 as well. True manual means always keeping it in, you know, manual, so it won't go back into automatic mode in situations. Reassign shift speeds. So, you know, the M transmissions have different shift speeds. So if you have it in the second fastest shift setting, you can have that now as the third fastest shift speed. If you have it in the third fastest shift setting, you could have that as the second fastest shift speed if you want it. You can really customize that to your needs. Ignition cut shifting, something I can help customize for people. That helps the transmission actually sound better when you're shifting. You can have a pop under certain RPMs. And then throttle blips. This is if you want to be extremely aggressive with the burbles, you can put this up to plus 50% across the board. All right, let's see. I don't have torque limits per gear on. If you have a rear wheel drive car, that's very helpful. And I haven't changed the RPMs because the car is not tuned for shifting between gears. So let's see. I really just wanted to adjust the torque condition up shifts and make the car a little bit snappier. Now that I've customized those settings, I'm gonna hit flash now. V1.5 is the latest one. Apply it. I have my seatbelt on because I need to keep the car's battery on. It's one way to keep the car on. So if the connection is good, it'll identify the car and it'll prompt you, you know, just warning you that it's about to flash it. This Ethernet adapter is so helpful because the Wi-Fi connection, it can take sometimes a minute, 2 minutes. This, honestly, you guys will see, it'll take 20 seconds. You will see errors come up. Those will be cleared. That's just part of the flashing process. And here we go. Bear in mind, I did do a software update on the car, so I did think that the car was behaving a little bit differently than normal. So this looks like it's going to take a little bit, and it may be because the car just received a software update. Alright guys, so it took a little bit less than I'd say a minute, even though it said it was going to take 2 minutes. It's just about finishing flashing. After it flashes the car, it then clears all the codes. So don't worry if you see like cross traffic warning or any drivetrain malfunctions. That's actually part of the flashing process. Okay, success. You can see a summary. It's kind of cool. I take a screenshot of this sometimes. You can see all the different logic that's been applied in the transmission and your custom settings as well. But yeah guys, I'll be offering an hour of my time for $50. I'll have a Calendly link. I can customize your XHP settings. I can also do BIMR codes, so things like turning off the active sound design, clearing codes, changing the ambient lighting, coding in Bowers & Wilkins audio, a bunch of things. So look out for that in the link of the description of this video. All right guys, welcome back. So I flashed the transmission, my XHP settings. I am trying to avoid a ton of traffic on the highway, so I took this route. Yeah, the transmission feels so much better. I noticed after I started the car up when I went to the gym today that it just wasn't shifting like it was, you know, like it was flashed. And the car said it had a remote software upgrade, so I think that's what did it. I said it before, I'll say it again. Rear wheel drive sounds the best because it really does allow you to not cut any throttle. It just allows the car to slip with all the nannies off. It's a beautiful day, especially to keep the burbles on through suburban neighborhoods. I lowered the tire pressure by about 3 pounds on each side. That's helped a lot. Actually, what am I doing? I shouldn't follow my GPS because there's a huge wreck on the highway. I'm trying to avoid it. I'm gonna see if I can get on the highway before the wreck instead of trying to come into, merging onto the highway right where the wreck is. Yeah, the transmission feels so much better now that I flashed it.